Hello, 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 hello. Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier live here from Fort Myers Beach, Florida. I've got my water, I've got my T-shirt on, and we're all going to have a good time. And I'm going to be doing some experimenting tonight, folks. Don't worry, we're going to have a good time. My buddy Landon has checked in. Landon, one of your good friends, has become a usual subscriber. He's checked in a bunch of times. And Landon does a nice YouTube channel, ASMR, which I do have on my recommended channels list. I'm still not into ASMR, Landon. Yeah, buddy, just got monetized, man. Thanks very much for your help with that, Landon. Landon's a good guy. He kind of gave me a shout out and a referral. And we do have some crossover appeal. I think Landon and I met last summer at a fire throwing party, which I actually have an entire playlist for. Florida fire throwing party. As some of you know, I am relatively new to Florida, the state of Florida. You know, I saw Rose McGowan kind of make a comment the other day. She was actually, I believe, if I don't have this wrong, because sometimes I get things screwed up, folks, but I think Rose was actually at a campaign rally for Larry Elder for the governor position of California. And good old Rose, who I do typically like Rose McGowan. I think she's been through a lot. She's very outspoken. And I think that she has a voice that deserves to be heard. But she was doing her speech for Larry Elder, and she said something like, something to the effect of, the rest of the world thinks of the United States like we think of Florida, or something like that. And she said, like, the United States is the Florida of the world. And initially I got a little upset, a little offended at good old Rose. Like I said, she's been through a lot too. So I'm not going to hashtag Rose McGowan, trust me. But and then I just thought, you know what, fuck them, because if less people want to come to Florida, if less people want to move here, that means more space for me, you know, more parking spots for me. I could put my feet up on the chair in front of me in the movie theater, which I always like to do. Sometimes I take my shoes off when I do that. Don't tell anybody, don't tell the usher. But, you know, for me, I don't need a ton of people around me at all times. The state that she's in, I guess the state that Larry Elder's in, and I don't even know if that how that thing went down, that gubernatorial. I can't even say the word, but hey, what's up, AJ? We're going to have some fun tonight, guys. Stick around because I've got some clips. We're going to be doing some fun stuff tonight. But, you know, to me, I would rather be in a state that has the sun and has the sunshine like Florida, but I can still pretty much get places on time, and I can drive around and not feel like the traffic is something that I have to fight every day of the week. You know, a relative of mine, my sister, actually lived in California for 10 or 15 years, and great place to go. But I remember when I would visit her and I'd want to do things, she'd ask me where they were, and I'd give her the street address, and then she'd say, well, we can't go there. And why not? Well, the traffic's going to be too bad. So it really made no sense. Oh, here he is, Michael AJ Norris checking in. Is this okay? I'm not sure if you're Michael AJ's buddy, or this is the buddy, or you're him. But Michael AJ Norris has always been a good contributor, keeps me informed of the world of pro wrestling and also pop culture. Apparently, AJ was discussing with me earlier that he thinks that there's this Wonder Years reboot coming. And I guess the big, you know, gimmick of it is it's an African-American story. I'm not terribly opposed to that because I really did like the original Wonder Years. In fact, I've met just once in my life when we were both pretty young. I met Wayne, you know, Jason Hervey, who became Eric Bischoff's buddy. And I remember debating about wrestling with Wayne, with Jason Hervey. Yeah, ASMR is basically where you tap on stuff and just whisper. I know it's like a very soothing thing, and people. So I was watching this documentary, Landon, about the paint guy, Bob Ross, and they said that he's like the OG of the ASMR world. Like he was doing ASMR before ASMR existed because he had such a soothing voice for people. So basically, God, now I get distracted. Well, what was I saying? I don't know. California is just a tough place to live. You know, shout out to any of my friends in California because it's hard to get places without getting stuck in traffic. But anyway, guys, I did promise you a good time tonight, and what we're gonna do, in lieu of just me sitting here and ranting, I want you guys to comment any comments or questions. I'll see what we can talk about. Pro wrestling is always a big thing, so we're going to get into some wrestling. But you know what? I thought, speaking of wrestling, I'm not just going to sit here and yap all night. It's going to be like a little bit of a variety show, like a little bit of an old school Mike Messier show. I'm going to show you some exclusive clips. This is actually an AEW wrestling clip from the fan convention. I think this was actually a match that was taped for Dark. It's Red Velvet against Deontay. So it's not a whole match. I'm not stealing from them, don't worry. And this match is a couple of months old, but this was from the fan convention. It's just a kind of a clip from the seat that I had at Daly's Place in Jacksonville. So check this out, folks. Some AEW wrestling right here, an exclusive view you won't see anywhere else, exclusively on the Mikey Messier Midnight Hour.
Simon, the British guy that bandana on like you. That can't be boring. Wait a second. Oh, two. Oh, that.
Hey, see, that's how fast it goes, folks. So some of you are commenting. I appreciate that. I got the Facebook, LinkedIn, my buddy Jason there in Maryland clicked in for a moment. Michael AJ's watching. Landon with the ASMR. Well, once again, if you're interested in ASMR, Landon has really blown up with his ASMR. You haven't quite got me yet, buddy. I haven't quite started tapping on my head and stuff. I guess with me, Landon, the thing is I kind of like being agitated. I don't like to relax. You know what I mean? But everybody's got their different ways. You know what I mean? But in any event, I did have a big road trip today, folks. You know, some people have been asking me, Mike, please leave us your thoughts and your feelings on all these wrestling situations going on. And there is, basically story on top of story. AEW wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, had a big pay-per-view. I did do a review immediately after. I went to a movie theater in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm actually in Fort Myers Beach, Florida right now. Yep, I want to talk about the NXT 2.0 and the NWA Power as well. So hang on tight, AJ. But basically, I did go to this movie theater to watch the wrestling, AEW wrestling. And there were probably 32 people in there. Probably 31 of those are guys. And I had to actually move my seat. I did a whole rant about this because a big fat guy sat next to me, and I'm a big fat guy. So when a big fat guy who's even bigger and fatter than me sits down next to me, I feel very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So I just didn't appreciate this guy sitting next to me. So I actually moved down front to one of those handicap buddy seats, like like not a wheelchair seat, but like the seat that goes next to the person in the wheelchair. And luckily, not to say luckily, but just fortune would have it for me that nobody in a wheelchair was there that night. And so the seat was open. I took it. It was a little bit close, but not too bad. And I was tired. And to be honest, I conked out a couple of times, but I took like premeditated little mini naps, which is something that I know how to do. Like I've learned to like even take like little mini naps in movies. Like if I go to a movie and I'm tired when I get in there, which happens a lot, I know like what point to take a nap during the movie, and I can wake myself up. Now sometimes I don't wake up. I went to see the Men Who Stare at Goats maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I conked out, and I never woke up. AJ's really hot about this whole thing with Fresh Prince. I'm gonna have to look it up, man, because I just don't know. I haven't heard this about the Fresh Prince reboot, but I am kind of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air drama reboot at Peacock sets main cast. So not only are they rebooting the Fresh Prince, but it's going to be a oh boy. Well, it's a good-looking cast. I mean, this Coco Jones is attractive as Hillary Banks. Cassandra Freeman will be the first Vivian. Are they going to have two Aunt Vivians? Ollie Charlatan is Carlton. Jabardi Banks as Will. I'm really surprised he doesn't have his own kids in this thing. You would think that somehow if Will Smith had rights to this, he would be putting his kids in it, but maybe Will Smith doesn't have rights to it. Oh boy. Bel Air is based on the viral video of the same name by Morgan Cooper, which reimagined the beloved Will Smith-led sitcom as a drama series. Peacock gave the show a 2-season order back in September of 2020, set in modern-day America. Bel Air is described as a serialized 1-hour dramatic analog of the sitcom version that leans into the original premise, Will's complicated journey from the streets of West Philadelphia, born and raised, to the gate mansions of Bel Air. Here's the thing, folks, and I guess I'll take this topic on. If you really did the statistical breakdown of reboots, reimaginings of things like this, they're not very successful percentage-wise. So yeah, AJ, you would think that Hollywood, or the powers that be, Peacock in this case, Peacock Network, you'd think that they would wise up, that people aren't really interested in these reboots. If you remember back in the 80s, I think the early to mid 80s, there was a couple of reboots on the old Odd Couple show, which was big, I think, in the 70s. Felix and Unger. Who are those? Sidney Pollack and no, was that Sidney Pollack? Sidney. Oh God, what was his name? Sidney. Felix, and the other guy who was on. Oh man, he played the surgeon on the other show. But basically, Felix and Oscar were two. Jack Klugman, man, all in the brain. Jack Klugman played a surgeon on another show. But in any event, here's the deal. They were the Odd Couple. So then you had a woman's version of the Odd Couple, and you had an African-American version of the Odd Couple. And not to say that those people weren't talented and the shows weren't good. It's just that the audience didn't really want to see it. You know what I mean? And I think, wasn't there like a Punky Brewster thing recently, a reboot of Punky Brewster? But at least with that, it was the actual Punky, like the actual Salome Moon Fry. You know what I mean? And she turned out to be quite lovely in her own way. And actually, I think she had breast surgery reduction, to tell you the truth. But Celine Moon Fry revamping or rebooting her role as Punky Brewster, I find that to be interesting. What I don't think is when you kind of just put a spin on it, like, okay, Felix and Unger were white guys and now they're women, or now they're black guys, or whatever. I'm trying to think of a reboot like that did well, and I can't. Another thing that typically doesn't work are tweaked sequels to very popular iconic sitcoms. For instance, MASH had something called After MASH, which people hated, and they still talk about it. I actually kind of liked it, to be honest with you, because it was just kind of a different type of show. But the big exception to this is Cheers and Frasier. Like, that's the big exception. That really was great because it kind of concentrated on one character, and they put him in a whole different world. Kind of like my hair. But things like Archie Bunker's Place was kind of like the tweaked reboot of All in the Family. And it did last for a couple of years, but people didn't really like it. Let's see. All in the Family was awesome, but black version sucks. See, I think you're right. There was a version, I want to say, with the guy from Good Times, John Amos, John Amos, by the way, the father of Good Times, is a killer actor, great actor. He did a one-man show at Rhode Island College. I think it was called Haley's Comet. So I was in the audience for this thing. That guy's a great actor. But yeah, he did do a reboot of All in the Family. I think it was The Address of the House. And I want to say, was it still Norman Lear? Kind of like one of his last projects. And yeah, I never watched it, so I can't say. A show that was kind of like All in the Family, but African-American, was Rock. I don't know if you guys remember Rock, R-O-C. It was about Charles S. Dutton, who was in one of the Alien movies. He played a garbage man, and he had a wife, and she would say, Rock! And he had a brother who played the trumpet, who never had a job. That was a fun show. Okay, speaking of which, guys, I appreciate... See, this is just going to be like a podcast, a live stream. You just saying, gee whiz, this is Mike, you're hitting us with all types of wonderful stuff. What else can you do for us? I'm going to give a little bit of fun here, folks. I know some of you guys, some of you might be wondering, well, gee whiz, Mike, can you inspire us? Can you inspire us tonight? And rather than me trying to inspire you myself, I'm going to hand the spoken word portion of our show over to our buddy, the Ultimate Warrior. Yes, Ultimate Warrior. And this is one of the videos from the 2011 series. It's not controversial. Some people might be getting a little trepidatious. They might be getting nervous. This video means a lot to me. I want to let the Warrior Man speak for himself. But here he is, Warrior, talking to you right now.
Morning, Warriors. Sitting in my gym here for a few minutes, as I always do, in a barn set off aside from my studio before I go in, thinking about what I am going to get done today, what my plan is today. You know, it's a beautiful thing when you go to bed at night, getting ready to close your eyes, day's over, taking a breath. You realized even if you fucked it up really bad, didn't stick to your plan, didn't do the things you said you were going to do at the beginning of the day, it doesn't matter anymore because the time is gone. You can't get it back, and you got to get some sleep, man. You got to go to dreamland. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing right before you close your eyes, how you give yourself a break. Because you got all these grand visions in your head that tomorrow it's going to be different. You're going to get up, you're going to get some exercise because you know it's good for your body. Not just your body, but it clears out all the junk in your mind so you can think more clearly. Folk. Not focus, folk. On what you need to do, what you need to achieve, what steps next you need to take to become successful in the way that you want to. And then morning comes. Morning always comes. There it is, man. Morning, night, morning, night. You always count on it. Morning comes. You open your eyes, all of a sudden, you've got a different mindset. And by the time you get from your bedroom to the kitchen, there's Mr. Ugly Ass, Mr. Resistance, riding you, poking at you, making fun of you, already convincing you before you even get to the kitchen to have one cup of coffee because you need to have your coffee to wake up, to even wake up every morning after that long night of sleep. Already convincing you, Mr. Big Badass Resistance, telling you that all those things that you wanted to make important today, all those things that you wanted to do because they give your life a purpose and a meaning and a worthiness, that they don't mean shit. No, instead, all the superficial stuff, that's what's important. You see that cobweb up there in the corner? You got to get that before you do anything else. You know those phone calls you got to make to your friends to do the gossiping and the bullshitting, just the wasting of time? You got to do that before you can do anything else. You know those paper plates you got to pick up, you got to make a list. You got to put them on a list to make sure you don't forget them, to pick them up for that silly ass little get-together party you're going to have this weekend. You got to make sure you do that first before you do what's important to your life. Oh, there's that program on today, this morning. They're going to have that special guest. You want to make sure you watch that. You don't want to miss your talk radio either. 3 freaking hours, man, where you can't get away from it. It's the absolute perfect distraction. You got to pay attention to that so you can know what's going on in the fucking world. In a world that's with people who are making decisions that you have absolutely no control over whatsoever. But you can't miss that. Every day is an opportunity for you to start taking control of your life and fulfilling your destiny. Paying attention to your inner voice, not the voice of that fucking dumbass Mr. Resistance. You think that successful people have some lucky charm. Well, let me tell you something. I woke up this morning and I couldn't find my fucking lucky charm. I and other successful people wake up every day doing the same thing, fighting back against the distractions, the fears, the doubts. And we learn over time, we build into a habit to spend more time having control instead of more time being out of control. It does matter. It mattered last night when you laid down and you put your head on a pillow. You were going to get up this morning and you were going to make it matter. Everything you did today, were going to do today, was going to have a purpose behind it. It was going to matter. Don't fail yourself today. Don't fail yourself today. Does matter. Never does it not matter. Never.
Okay, folks, this is Mike Messier, and I think we're having a pretty good premiere here of Mikey at Midnight. And my buddy AJ here, he's got some more comments. Some YouTubers are ignoring the audience and all about themselves. He points somebody out. He makes money telling us wrestling rumors. He lies most of the time. And he's been in controversial situations. I stopped watching. Well, you're welcome to watch here, buddy. You're always welcome here. You're really going after this guy. He's the most self-centered YouTuber. He makes money from rumors on wrestling, and he makes it about himself half the time. I stopped watching him. Well, I watched a couple of his clips because you suggested him. He's okay. I mean, but I didn't get too involved in it. I watched a couple of clips, and it's like, okay, another guy who's got an opinion about wrestling. Speaking of which, I guess I will gonna get to that thoughts now of what I watched tonight. So tonight I watched got I'm watching USA Network, and it looks like NXT, and they've got the Undisputed Era, so that's outdated already because that's. I guess I'm watching a rerun. I thought I was watching a new episode here in the background, but apparently not. And I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see everything. But in any event, Adam Cole jumping ship. NXT's got a big void. I'm not the hugest NXT expert. I know some people are really into NXT. I get nothing against it. You know, what I was saying, I even had a debate years ago with a buddy of mine, the NXT, the Great Debate. You know, we were doing the podcast before. God, what was the name of that podcast? It was fun with a buddy of mine about wrestling. And basically just the NXT debate we had. And my thing was, why get emotionally invested into these young wrestlers if they're just going to go to Vince's meat puppet circus and be, you know, roster fodder? You know, like at the time it was things like the Ascension, or Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano went up for like a week to Raw, and they were having a feud. They were supposed to have a big match, and then they go up to Raw and they're a tag team. So the whole debate really was, if Junior doesn't respect the guys from NXT, doesn't respect what Triple H is doing, why should we as the fans respect it? And, you know, nobody's really had a good answer for that when I pointed that out. Feel free to make more comments. But so now they've rebranded the rebrand, right? So now NXT 2.0, they were just to rethink this. You know, speaking of Bob Ross, I mean, just this mosaic of this pastel colors, or whatever you want to call it, rainbow bright for the new logo. It looks really bad, but the show is pretty good tonight. I did catch most of it. I missed. I was trying to find that Rob Steiner's son, you know, Rick Steiner's son match, because some people wanted me to chime in on that. I'm trying to find that for you, but what I'm seeing here is I just can't find it, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. But what can you say? I mean, you know, Vince Jr., as Moxley said this to Jericho. I'll say it to you guys if you didn't hear him say it. You know, Vince is going to die in the chair. You know what I mean? So we're kind of stuck with this 76-year-old man calling shots for 25-year-old athletes or wrestlers. And, you know, I thought the wedding thing was kind of cute tonight. I mean, this Indy Hartwell, I can't say that I've actually watched her wrestle a bunch of times, but she played the role very well of the wedding bride. And the Dexter Maxis guy, whatever his name is, I actually saw him wrestle. Yeah, we'll talk about this Mick Foley thing. I saw that Dexter guy wrestle on February 29th, 2020. I went to one of the last NXT shows pre-worldwide situation, if you know what I'm saying. I don't like to use the C word here, but I saw one of the last NXT shows, and Dexter Lumis was there. You know, he wrestled, and well, the green-haired girl wrestled as well. God, I'm drawing a blank on names tonight. But basically the tank girl, the green hair. And, you know, I thought Indy Hartwell was cute. You know, here's the thing about getting older, guys. You know, some of these girls that they might be of your age group more so than mine, but if I was of the age range of Indy Hartwell back when I was, oh, she's not that good, she's not that hot. But now when you get a little bit older, they're all hot. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, Indy Hartwell's pretty hot. You know what I mean? So it's just aging. You start to appreciate people more when you get old. So, I mean, Indy Hartwell is pretty hot. And good for her, you know, that she's married now, or storyline wise or whatever. Man, so AJ's really hot on this sound view. Mick Foley's in hot water. Okay, so what you're talking about, bro, is this whole Mick Foley thing. I want to get back to Big E in a minute, but Mick Foley in hot water. He said, you know, basically what I've been saying for 4 years. You know, he basically said that WWE is not doing justice to their own creations, their own talent. He pointed out, as I have been on Twitter, much to the chagrin of some of my friends here, Johnny Z and Kevin Castle are big Damian Cross fans, and I get offended for them. That Damian Cross has, in my opinion, been humiliated, and I like to say castrated, you know, by Demolition Cross, this horrible, god-awful gimmick they're putting this poor guy in. And people are trying to defend it, but I don't think there is a defense for it. I'm sorry. It's red roostering of Karrion Kross. And I came up with a theory, or an observation, I should say. Look at Sable and Mark Marrow from 96, 97, 98. Look at 2014 to 2017, Miro and Lana. Now look at Damian Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux. Every time that Vince Jr. signs a tough guy, a legit tough guy, people don't think Mark Marrow's a legit tough guy, but he was. He was a boxing guy. Miro's a tough guy, and Karrion Kross is a tough guy, supposedly. These tough guys get signed, and then they sign their beautiful bride, their beautiful blonde, buxom bride. If you lined up, Sable, Lana, and the Scarlett, they all look pretty similar. Scarlett and Rena Sable look very similar. And then you say, well, gee whiz, why is the tough guy being castrated and the blonde being pushed? Look at the pattern. Mark Marrow was metaphorically castrated. I'm not saying they actually castrated these guys like geldings, like horses, right? But, the character of Mick Foley was castrated. The character of Miro was castrated, became, is watching his wife sleep with Bobby Lashley and so forth. And now they're doing a variation on a theme, as Andy Kaufman liked to say, with the Karrion Kross demolition thing and Scarlett. And, they haven't pushed Scarlett to the moon yet, but, we'll see what happens. But, to me, it's something about Junior that he feels threatened by these tough guys, and he wants to kind of put them in their place and have their woman run rampant. And I don't know if you could even put Chris Candido and Sonny, their horrible relationship in my book, in that category. Chris Candido was such a nice guy, and Sonny was Sonny. So let's see what this is going on. Mikey, Britney Spears deleted her Instagram. Fans are confused. She was on her way back to freedom. She got engaged. Man, I watched that Britney Spears doc. It didn't dig deep enough for my taste. If you really want to get hardcore about Britney Spears, look into MK Ultra. Look into MK Ultra. Many people don't even know what that is. The Monarch thing, Project Monarch. If you really dig deep into that world, it's pretty scary. And I think it's Diane Sawyer is interviewing Britney Spears maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And Britney doesn't look like she's in a good spot in that video, in that interview. And there's other celebrities. Al Roker was doing something on the Today Show once, and he kind of froze up. There's other things with this MK Ultra stuff. There's a famous clip, or, in this world, it's famous. Jay-Z and Beyonce are at a basketball game, and she looks hypnotized. There's all types of weird stuff on YouTube that, and not just YouTube, but other things. I've been listening to the memoirs of Billy Shears. I've been listening to that audiobook, and that Paul is dead conspiracy theory has been going on for a long time. And if you listen to that book, it'll convince you that it's true. It'll really give you a head trip. So as far as Britney goes, man, I'm pulling for her. She's a beautiful woman. I actually, I seem to know somebody who knows somebody all the time. Like, that's one of the things I catch myself doing. Like, I always know somebody who knew somebody that you're talking about. But I did know the keyboardist for Britney Spears for a while, and he said she was a nice girl. Didn't have much to say about her. But, Britney's a great performer. And do I have all of her albums? No. I think I have, like, the best of Christina Aguilera. That's about as close to a Britney album as I have. But I've got nothing against Britney Spears. I'm pulling for her. I think she has 2 or 3 kids. You know what I mean? I remember when she was with that Federline guy, and that seemed a little bit like, why is she with this guy type of thing. So I don't know. I hope that it works out for the best. Now, you got me all depressed, buddy. I got to watch some more Ultimate Warrior videos. Let's take a look at this, guys. I'm going to show you a little something here. It's a little bit of something to lighten the mood, a little bit of interactive burlesque, Suicide Girls classic burlesque. This was from my old Mike Messier show out of Providence. Suicide Girls Siren will be dancing a little number for us, kind of PG rated, PG-13. You guys should be okay to watch this. Okay, folks. Sorry, I had to cut you off, but the censors were knocking on my door, saying, "Hey, you can't show all that stuff." Well, if you look on the Suicide Girls burlesque show playlist here on YouTube, as of now, it's still up. So for the time being, at least, if you're over 18, you can watch that. On my channel, folks, to be honest with you, I do have a lot of stuff that's for mature audiences or immature audiences, you might say. I've got some nice swearing. I've got some burlesque girls. I've got some content that might be questionable for some people's taste, but I never said I was Ronald McDonald or Captain Crunch or Captain 20 or any type of captain. I'm just here to have fun and entertain people, and sometimes take us into worlds that you may not be expecting. So speaking of which, for those of you that are still with me, I promised exclusive clips on Mikey at Midnight. This is the premiere episode of Mikey at Midnight. All this excitement from my fingertips, just doing what I do. And I recently went down. Right now, folks, I really didn't talk about what I'm doing in my personal life, but here I am, screenwriter. Fight or Play Basketball is a screenplay that I wrote. It's won, I think, 3 awards, been nominated for a few others, been a finalist. Screenplay competitions are always an interesting thing. But here I am at Fort Myers Beach. I've never been to Fort Myers Beach, Florida before. I'm in this wonderful spot that I'm in that I've rented for the week, and I'll be attending the Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival. I missed the opening night party tonight. I'm very sad that I missed it, but the reality was it was a long drive. Like I drove by Disney World, and I still had like another half of the trip to go. So I mean, for me, driving to Disney World is a long trip. Today I did like driving beyond Disney World. That's the thing about living in a big state now, folks. It's like living in a whole different country. I thought like New England, it's like this would have been a 2-night trip, but here in Florida, man, you're in one state. You just keep driving. Anyway, I'm in Fort Myers Beach. My screenplay, Fight or Play Basketball, is a finalist or selected into this thing, or maybe not a finalist, but selected. But I'm just going to go see a bunch of independent movies this week and see what happens, and I'll be doing reports. But in Lake Dora, Florida, in July of 2021, I went and I had some business to do, and I ended up at Lake Dora, Florida, and I ended up doing a monologue that I had memorized. My friend up north, Kim Kaling, she's an actress herself, kimkaling.com, no relation to Mindy, although they're starting to look alike. But Kim and I worked on my monologue. I memorized it. She helped me memorize it through the modern technologies. You can also watch that on Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. But here is a special unseen cut, an unseen take. Now, this is not the official final choice. The official final choice has been selected into the prestigious Sean O'Shea Memorial Film Festival. So Sean O'Shea Festival, very special film festival named in honor of a young lady who was tragically killed in a car accident, and her father and mother, Skip and Anna, and her twin sister have lived on and are doing a film festival in her honor. I think I've won one award from that festival, actually 2. The Impeccable won Best Supporting Actress for Naria Zakarian. Hi to Naria. And the Disregard the Vampire Mike Messier documentary won Best Documentary in 2017. So this year I entered a couple of things, The Hospital Bed, and what we're about to see coming up, Seduction of Distance. This is actually an alternate take. So this is not the take that's in the festival. This is an exclusive take just for you, folks, of me at Lake Dora, Florida. To give you some background, this is the character of John Lacroix Distance. This is a monologue from the mind of John Lacroix Distance. And I am basically in character. So this is a character that I wrote. Other actors have come and gone, but I remain. I stay true to the story. That's why I have this wonderful long hair now. And so let's watch, here we go. Let's watch John Lacroix Distance, Lake Dora, Florida.
And what was your name again, brother? Joe? Joe. Joseph was my father's name. No, I was not named after him. Jean. My name is Jean. Jean Lacroix. Distance. Yes, that does translate to John. John, distance from the cross. And I am known for my distinct home, and as such, my title reads Distance from Avalon. And please forgive me for being so presumptive as to call you my brother, sir. Yet, aren't all men, at least all reasonable and kind men, brothers of some kind? Lost children from lost fathers. However, we are not here to speak on our ancestors, sir. We can only walk in their broken footsteps for so long. We must let our own boots step where they will. I was once a child. Once beaten, so abused, I found my refuge in strange and foreign stories, desperately seeking a crack in the wall of bricks that surrounded me. I discovered the beginnings of my own true self, lurking in those stories. You can imagine the respect and admiration I gained for those masterful authors, whose stories gave me my only sense of freedom. And I pretended my own life was just one of their stories, perhaps a classic tale that just starts off slowly. In my long nights, the voices of those long-deceased authors came to me and told me that while they appreciated my subscriptions, my life was my own unique journey, and that I, not they, was also indeed authoring it. Therefore, I was empowered, even responsible, to decide its outcome. I could no longer be merely a witness to my own destiny. My life was the book I would write for myself. Let me ask you this paramount question then, brother. If you could choose to lose the life that you have now for a chance to gain a life that you could have, a life that you'd really like to have, a life that you'd really love to have, would you make that choice? Would it be worth the gamble? Worth the risk? Worth the challenge? A man does not know himself until he tests himself. I am what happens when Christ himself blinks.
Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. You're watching the debut episode of Mikey at Midnight. This is an interactive live stream. It's kind of a variety live stream. I'm not just going to sit here and talk. I'm going to show you clips. I'm going to take viewer comments and questions. Might even have guests, so if you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. Mikey, did you see the Psycho remake? Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers was horrible. Norman Bates, Gus Van Sant was the director, is a no-horror thriller director. Good take, AJ. Here's the deal. I did see that movie. I think the thing they did wrong with that one, it's just so hard to make a reboot or a remake. Yesterday I was talking to a couple of people who on a video from yesterday with Sarah and Nathaniel Lee about the Rob Zombie movies, the Halloween 1 and 2, and Sarah did not like those remakes. So I did see what you're talking about, Vince Vaughn, and I think it was Anne Hesh, who was famously known for being in a relationship with Ellen. Okay. The thing is, I think they reshot the original Psycho take for take, shot for shot. And so it's like, how is the movie going to be any different? Not even better, just different. And the answer was it wasn't. It was just a revision. I don't know. So point is, these reboots, these revamps, it's frustrating to a guy like myself. I've got about 12 screenplays: Fighter Play Basketball, A Distance from Avalon, Chris and the Coffee Girl, Wrestling with Sanity. I wrote one for DDP called Feel the Bang. Okay. You know what I mean? Aaliyah and Troy with my buddy Aaron Woodson. The First Betrayal with my buddy Arthur Hugh. I mean, it's very frustrating for me, who's written about a dozen God is my best friend, good girls with bad girls with good tattoos. All these screenplays I've written, which for the most thing that was produced, a couple of things, but I guess maybe I'm a glass is half full type of guy. I was talking to Monty and the Pharaoh today, Mike Monty of Monty and the Pharaoh, and he was asking me like, "Oh, why don't you just be like Sylvester Stallone and get Rocky made?" Well, you know, he didn't ask it that crudely, but the point is, it's a tough business, it's a tough industry, but when production studios take the safe way and they just make you reboots and revamps, and Harry Potter's got 7 sequels and part 1 and part 2 of part 7. It's like, come on. It's frustrating for a guy like myself who's got a lot of great ideas, and not only has great ideas, but I actually fucking write the scripts. Okay. Because anybody asks, any fucking fuck, now you got me pissed, Mike. Anybody can write a goddamn script, but, or have an idea for a fucking script. Okay. But not many people have the fucking patience or the intelligence or the tenacity to sit there and write the fucking screenplay like I do. Now you're pissing me off. So the point is, that's why I'm doing these. To be honest, that's what the YouTube channel's here. You know, whether it's to get exposure, I appreciate the 1,000 subscribers. I think we're hitting like 1,020. Which I appreciate, because hopefully with this thing, if it starts making some real money here, then I will be able to make some of these movies, you know, and you can see all this chronicled, American Luchador. Okay. You can see Also Ran, another great screenplay of mine. You can see these things chronicled in Disregard the Vampire, a Mike Messier 11 award-winning documentary, which you can watch right here on Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel as well. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, buddy, or if I just got pissed off thinking about it. But in any event, let's see, pal. Mikey, I watched Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies. I was entertained from it. It was a trauma video. They did Toxic Adventures, had Roddy Piper in the franchise, Shane Douglas. I've met both of those guys. Roddy passed away, but he did a Top Rope Promotions years ago. I was actually at Top Rope Promotions in Fall River, Mass. The night that Roddy Piper died. Ric Flair was our special guest, and of course, Flair and Piper were best friends. It was sad to see Rick, you know, sharing that moment with us, but I'm glad we could share that moment, because it was such a surreal thing to have Ric Flair at my home promotion when I was doing commentary. And then the night that Roddy Piper died, it was almost too much emotion. But yeah, Roddy and Shane, man. Shane Douglas is a great wrestler, and he's a guy who's intelligent too. And he put over one of my videos, Dear Wrestling, It's Me, Mike, one of my early angry wrestling rants. Okay, guys. AJ, if you got any more comments, buddy, I appreciate you being here. AJ's shot hard tonight on Sean Views Entertainment. I haven't watched too much of Sean. I mean, he's a guy with opinions on wrestling, but sorry he pissed you off, man. I never met the guy. I wish him well. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm glad you're here, AJ, watching my stuff, but I'll give you another minute or two. Then we'll just call this a night. I think it's been a successful first night. If any other filmmakers out there have clips that do not have copyright issues or music domains or whatever, but if you're an actor, you got a monologue you want to share, send it in. I didn't even talk about Big E. I keep forgetting, man. CM Punk rants and rumors. Well, let me you write them out, AJ, because I'm not sure what the rumors would be. Maybe who's going to wrestle next. I guess Langston, like the Hughes. What's the guy's name? The big guy that he's going to wrestle. It's just another big guy. All these big guys. But Langston, Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs. Is that going to be the match with CM Punk? People aren't exactly calling for that, but it could be a good match. I mean, you know, Ryback. Okay, so AJ was wondering if Ryback's coming back. I don't think he's coming back to WWE because, as far as I know, they're in legal hot water with each other. Like, I mean, I do like Ryback. I did a video where I said I like Ryback, but I think he and WWE are at it with the whole copyright of his name. And, you know, Ryback is saying that they're putting a lot of pressure on him and they're trying to screw up his social media and trying to, you know, prevent him from making a living. So Ryback, I'd love to talk to Ryback, and maybe he'll be a guest here or I'll be a guest on his show. But, you know, I respect Ryback, man. So, but I saw AJ sent me this thing from Instagram or Twitter or something where it said like Ryback's going back to WWE. I would think that's a real long shot. Not to say that it couldn't happen. I mean, we saw our buddy, the Ultimate Warrior, end up back with WWE. So anything's possible. But I don't think it's probable. And as far as Ryback and AEW, I would probably see Ryback more as coming into NWA. Somebody earlier was asking about the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm way behind in that. I mean, I subscribe to it on Fight, but I'm probably 6 or 8 weeks behind. I didn't see the pay-per-view. I did catch the clips of Trevor Murdoch winning the title. I did watch the whole Flair speech at the NWA show, which was really bad because he just talked about WWE guys. So I just thought he was kind of out of it. But let's talk about this Big E thing. I'm an hour into the show. I didn't talk about this title change. Look, I woke up this morning, folks. I didn't watch. Just to be honest with you, I didn't watch Raw last night. I went to see the movie Labyrinth on the big screen, and I enjoyed it. But I'm watching this thing. You know, I wake up this morning and it's like, and I didn't even know last night. You know, people are all excited, or not. Just some tweets and stuff. Big E has won the world title. Big E's won the WWE title, and I had a real sense of apathy about it, like a real sense of just not caring. To be honest with you. And then I really was thinking about, why do I not care? And I'm like, well, because I don't really get excited about much for WWE anymore. I mean, I did go to watch SummerSlam in the movie theater, and I thought it was a good time. But then I listened to my buddy Joe Cronin, and he pissed all over the show on his podcast because he said that they did all these things at SummerSlam they did on Raw and SmackDown that week. So I was like, shit. I thought I was watching a good show, but I wasn't, apparently. As far as this thing goes with Big E, winning the title is great, and but basically I just watched the video tonight. Like I did watch it tonight, and it seemed like the audience was into it. But it's like, this is what I'm going to have a challenge. Will Big E have the title, I'm going to say, in 90 days? And the reason why I'm saying 90 days is because I want to see if he gets to Survivor Series with that title and comes out of Survivor Series, the Raw after the Survivor Series with that title. Because what I was really kind of fearing is, are they just putting this title on Big E to build him up just enough to be fed to Roman Reigns at Survivor Series? Like, if they're going to stick with this champion versus champion thing, and I think last year Roman beat Drew McIntyre, champion versus champion. And before that, it was always Brock Lesnar beating everybody, including the year that Brock as a heel beat Daniel Bryan, who had just turned heel. Vince McMahon hates tag teams and factions. Big Cass and Enzo were hot, breaking them up, ruined them going forward. And Retribution was awesome at the beginning, but Vince McMahon screwed that up. You might be the only guy, though, that really liked Retribution, though. I mean, maybe they were different. It was weird. I mean, that was the whole... the Raw Underground era, if you remember that, like the summer of 2020. I mean, we're a weird time for wrestling, for WWE especially. But Retribution, and remember with Mandy and then the fat guy that had the relationship, Otis. Weird times over there, right? But yeah, Vince Jr. is a weirdo. I mean, he breaks up good tag teams. You're right, and Big Cass and Enzo were a lot better together than they were apart, and maybe it was because they were from NXT that good old Junior didn't want an NXT thing getting over on the big stage. So I hear you, buddy. I really do. As far as Big E goes, I'm hoping that he's just not being built up just enough to make him credible to feed to Roman at Survivor Series. The other thing is, what are we going to do? What are they going to do? I'm not part of the we. I mean, that's what Conrad Thompson does. He always says we. It's not we, it's them. What will is it MLW, Major League Wrestling? I appreciate that, buddy. They're out of Florida too, I believe. MLW, but they brought us a lot of people that are doing big things in AEW, like Brian Pillman Jr. and MJF, and even Tony Schiavone started in MLW before going to AEW. So there you go. That Opera Cup was interesting. Okay, here's the deal. Big E winning the title, I'm fine with it. It's just, I want to know the date of the Monday after Survivor Series. Will Big E lose the title at the Monday after Survivor Series? I'm hoping he doesn't, but he might. And, I just hope that it's a title reign with some feuds and some storylines and make Big E look like he's a champion, not just a guy holding the championship. How about that? And we'll see what happens. But, I mean, to be honest, I think Lashley was fine, but Lashley was kind of like the Raw version of Roman Reigns, like the dominant heel badass, and had the manager as a talking point. And I don't know if Lashley set the world on fire. He was certainly credible, meaning that he looked like a legitimate fighter, because he is. But, I mean, what the fuck? So, anyway, that's it. I think this is the end of Mikey at Midnight. AJ, I want to thank you, buddy. AJ's Bobby Lashley was like Lesnar. Okay, but once again, he was like other people. I don't know if Lashley ever had his own identity, if he was ever truly unique. The guy's ripped. I mean, he's a big, scary dude, but I don't know. And as far as Big E goes, first of all, he's not that big when compared to guys like Lashley. Like, Big E's big compared to me or you, but compared to some of these guys, he's like average size. Like he's a muscle guy, but he's kind of a short muscle guy. Oh boy. Okay, folks, this has been it. I've blown my creative load. We had the premiere at Mikey at Midnight. We watched the live time, watched the replay. Oh God, man! Why did Cena come back? Money. There's your answer. And I think Cena likes the attention of being in the wrestling ring, and he felt like he could contribute, and money. And he wanted to promote some movies, and it might be his last match for a while. I wouldn't be shocked if Cena does some AEW stuff. Who knows? But I think the answer is money. And then the thrill of the crowd. To be honest with you, that's something. There's nothing wrong with that, folks. The thrill of the audience. I mean, that's why I'm here. It's for the money and the thrill of the audience to connect with you, AJ, and anyone else that's watching on the replay. But the answer really is money for Cena. And that's it. So thanks. Mikey at Midnight, premiere episode, interactive live stream with clips and excitement. Where else can you get this type of fun at your own fingertips? Interactive television, interactive podcasting, interactive live streaming. It is television if you watch it on your TV. A lot of people don't know you can get YouTube on your television. If nothing else, use an HDMI wire to hook up your computer to your TV. Yes, this episode is dedicated to Norm Macdonald. Thanks for reminding me, AJ. This episode was dedicated to the late, great Norm Macdonald. So subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Mikey at Midnight. As Norm Macdonald would say, how about that O.J. Simpson? He's guilty.